Okay, I think we're live. Hi everyone, my name is Aashna Thakkar. I am the manager of programming at the Regent Park Film Festival. Hi everyone, Sorry about that. I have another screen open where we are also live. I will pause that. Okay, cool. We are here today to discuss the applications for our Emerging Directors Pitch Competition, which is a competition we hold every year. And this year we're super excited to be able to bring it back in person, not virtually. Hopefully nothing changes this year. I am joined by two of our friends from CBC, Lesley, Birchard, and Jacquie Lee. And I'll give you a second to introduce yourselves and what you do.
Hey everyone, I'm Lesley Birchard. I go by she, her, and I'm a production executive with CBC Docs. I oversee a lot of our short docs at CBC, and you can find those on CBC Gem and the CBC Docs YouTube channel. I also work on the nature of things. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to hear people's pitches this year for docs that hopefully we'll be all very excited about, and we'll want to work with at least one of you on one of your projects in development. So take it away, Jacquie Lee.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having us, Aashna. I, too, am really excited, and my name is Jacquie Lee. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the senior producer at CBC's Creator Network, and it's a space to connect with and foster emerging digital video creators. Primarily, you'll find our content on CBC's main YouTube channel, a little bit on Gem, and we're kind of exploring the world of social video more these days, because I feel like that's where our audience is. And I think I'm happy to elaborate more as we go through this info session.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So before we get into more of the details about what you guys are looking for in our pitches, I'm just going to go over a little bit of the important information to note if you are looking to apply for the competition. And also all of this information can be found on our website at rpff.ca/EDP. This is nothing, it's all there. It's just nice to say it out loud sometimes. The winner of this pitch competition will win a development deal with CBC, plus $1,000 from RBC to put towards their production. A bit of a disclaimer, the information that you're hearing today is specifically in regards to the pitch competition with us. It doesn't all necessarily apply to, pitching separately to CBC. There are kind of different rules for different spaces. So if you are looking to work directly with CBC, you might need to know some different stuff. So this is specifically for us, for our competition. Submissions are open already. They've been open for about a week or so, and they're open until Sunday, October 23rd. You can find a Google form on our website where you can submit your pitch and all the associated information that we need. And this year, if you're familiar with this competition, you might have noticed that this year we don't have a spotlight portion of the competition. Generally, we have a spotlight and pitch where the applicants will submit a previously made film and then also a pitch for a new film. So this year there is no spotlight portion. We're excited to see how this goes this year. Only pitches. And applicants must be a Canadian citizen or have permanent resident status. And you must be an emerging director or producer who has made no more than 2 films for festival or broadcast. And you also cannot be a permanent CBC employee to apply. So those are kind of the big highlights. And then in terms of your eligibility for the pitch, we are accepting 2 categories this year, which fall under unscripted, which is science and nature, and also creator network. And we'll talk more about this and what those words mean if you've never heard of these categories before. And your films must be no longer than 40 minutes long, and also have no existing equity investment or distribution commitments. And lastly, you also cannot be applying to another pitch competition with the same pitch until you're like done pitching with us. And if you don't win, you can take it somewhere else. But yeah, we can't really can't submit it to 2 festivals at the same time. And then again, all of this is on our call out page, but to apply, to be considered, we need to see a log line, a pitch, a synopsis, an artist statement, and links to past works or a portfolio. So yeah, those are the important things to keep in mind. But yeah, questions for you guys now. To start off, I think it'd be great for you both to share what the 2 categories, science and nature and creator network, mean, and if there's specific things about audience, and what kind of stories you're looking for, and if there's any examples in these categories as well, that might be helpful. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So maybe I'll jump in first and I'll bring up a slide because I like to have pretty pictures available sometimes.
Yeah.
Including this lovely walrus. Oh, and he's gone. Nope. Is he back? Can you see him? Sorry, can you see the slide or no?
No, it disappeared.
Oh, popped up for a sec. That's okay. Well, I'm just going to jump in. So I'm going to talk about short docs. So our short docs at CBC are usually under 40 minutes in length. I would say really the sweet spot is more 15 or 20 minutes. That's probably that kind of the average length of a lot of our short docs. In the past, a lot of these have been more focused on just fantastic human stories. And as I mentioned, you can look at a lot of our docs or all of our docs on the CBC Docs YouTube channel and CBC Gem. But really, like, we'd love for you guys to be focusing your pitches in the area of science and nature this year, if possible. And then these are just some of the areas that I think we're most interested in. Docs about animals and other wildlife, the environment and climate, lost worlds, like think kind of archaeological digs and, stories from the distant past. But then also like our bodies and brains, just, how we live in this world and how we can do better. So that there's also exceptions. Those, you don't necessarily have to stick to those, but that's just like giving you, just some ideas of areas to look at. And then going to the next slide, in terms of just kind of the way you tell your stories, we're really looking for stories that people can get lost in. So not overly educational. We really want still very entertaining, immersive stories where you feel you're right there with the main character, whether that main character is a human or an animal. But something that takes us on a real journey. Generally, we find that the docs that do best for us in that digital space are quite character driven. So again, that you really feel you're getting to know like the main character or main characters and get to kind of hang out with them for a bit. We love active unfolding stories if possible, where we're really right there in the action, seeing it unfold before our eyes, as opposed to you just telling us about something that happened. And then just a few other things there, like you don't have to worry about too much right now, but, punchy titles. We love, stories that feel modern and are packaged as such, something that really can cut through in the digital space and are going to keep digital audiences engaged. But because we haven't done a lot of science and nature content yet, specifically in the digital space. Of course, we've got the nature of things for TV, but this is pretty new for us. So I don't have a lot of examples to give you in terms of ones we've previously done, but one that I really loved that you could take a look at is called Fix and Release. And it's about people who fix damaged turtles' shells. And it's so emotional. and so emotional, but also really, really beautifully done. And then all this said, there's you're going to hear from Jacquie in a sec, and there is some overlap between what we do in the short talk strand at CBC and what Creator Network does. If something comes to us that isn't specifically in the science and nature space, but is longer than what might work for a Creator Network project, we're still interested. We still want to hear good stories. So if you have your heart set on something that is more in line with what we've previously commissioned for short docs, don't stop yourself from pitching it. But we're really wanting to focus more on the science and nature space this year. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Jacquie so she can talk through what she's looking for.
Great.
I had a quick question. If someone is applying for something that doesn't fit with something that doesn't fit into science and nature, you're still just talking unscripted though, right?
Just unscripted.
Yeah.
And still, really kind of still adhering to kind of all those same things that I was talking about, with regards to documentary storytelling, character driven, active and unfolding, something where we really feel like we're on a journey with the main characters. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Jacquie.
Thanks.
It's a great question. And I may just repeat, Lesley and I both are really focused in the unscripted department. So that's kind of what we're interested in. In terms of Creator Network, so we're really looking for emerging digital filmmakers to partner with us in association with CBC Arts, CBC Life, and CBC Music. Each of those verticals at the CBC have their own website, so feel free to just kind of take a look at their past videos, anything recent that's come out to give you a sense of what they're looking for. To be more specific, generally we're looking for pieces at about 5 minutes long for YouTube. Again, we're exploring the world of social video, so 90 seconds long. And then in terms of content, looking more for always entertaining, always a great story. I feel like that's probably can be said for anyone at the CBC. But at Creator Network, looking for deep dives, explainers, something that really shares your unique perspective and your voice. Also looking to kind of bring in creators who maybe we haven't worked with before or who may not have thought of CBC as a destination for their content. Creator Network, we just really want to connect with kind of the new vanguard of filmmakers coming out of Canada, and I'm super excited to hear your pitches. Ideally, they would maybe suit CBC Arts, CBC Life, or CBC Music. But if you're really passionate, have a great story, and it falls within the unscripted department, still please share your story with us.
Yeah, I am curious to learn more about. To be completely honest, I hadn't heard of Creator Network until recently. So maybe there's a lot of other people out there who also have never heard of it. In terms of like the types of stories that you're looking for, when I was looking through the YouTube page, it seemed like a lot of the stories were very informative and I guess narrow in its scope of like kind of the topic it was at hand. So yeah, if you could maybe give more insight on like how people should formulate their stories, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, that's a great question. Just because I guess the content duration, and of course it's digital, so My 5 minutes and my 90 seconds are just suggestions. They can, of course, be shorter or longer, whatever is warranted. In terms of the actual content, just because the time is so short, we're looking for stories that you can really flesh out and we can really engage with in that short period of time. So only because we don't have 20 minutes or half an hour or 40 minutes to kind of delve into this world, we'd rather you really be focused and take us into the story and immerse us for those 5 minutes so it's really engaging. Particularly, CBC Life is really interested in kind of what we call service pieces. So videos that bring a service to the viewer. So for example, it's a how-to, at the end of it, you're able to learn something, follow this journey, and potentially have a recipe at the end, or understand how to care for your plants better, or repair your bike maybe. CBC Arts is more interested probably in, actually CBC Arts is more open. Anything that would interest a viewer who's interested in Canadian art and culture, open to any pitches there. And I would say the same for CBC Music as well. But yes, the content duration is shorter, so we're looking for pitches that are quite focused, that can take us kind of more into a deep dive and explainer.
Mm-hmm. So just so everyone listening is clear about it, within Creator Network, there's CBC art, music, and you said something else, right? The three?
Right, that's also a good question. So I guess I would explain the verticals. So CBC Arts, Life, and Music are their own kind of entities. And then we at Creator Network, we're kind of looking to partner with digital video creators to work with you to create videos and then connect you with these other verticals that were mentioned. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of, I guess, the conduit or the connection and the facilitator to bring your content to these verticals at the CBC.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And so, sorry, there's a lot of questions about Creator Network. I was also wondering where, so I know there's a YouTube channel for Creator Network, and then what other places, I guess, would people's content end up being?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So the main CBC YouTube, and actually as we're partnering with these verticals, CBC Arts, Life, and Music, you will find all of the Creator Network content on their verticals. So cbc.ca/arts/life/music, and all of their associated social platforms. So that we're really able to target the audiences that would connect with your pitch.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that was a lot of great info. Do you, kind of moving on to the pitch portion of the application, do you have any tips for folks on how they can make their pitch stand out at this point on paper? If you are a finalist in the competition, there will be other training sessions where they'll be learning more about pitching verbally. But at this point, what can folks do to make their pitch stand out on paper?
I can jump in here. I mean, I think simple pitches are great. Like, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about making it, visually spectacular. It's nice to see a few pictures, but really most important is the idea and just articulating the idea simply. It doesn't have to be super long. In fact, I prefer a one-page pitch. I'm not sure, what other parameters you've already listed, but I think the basics of your idea, like explain to us, why this is a project that'll keep the audience engaged and entertained. How's it going to make the audience feel after watching it? Will they laugh, cry, both, get angry? Will they talk about it with their friends? And if so, why? Who are your characters? And why are those good characters? I think for docs, but also probably for a creator network, kind of, why are you the right person to tell this story? What's your own unique point of view? Maybe your access as well, because often, it's important for us to know that that main character that you want to do a documentary about, and what, again, is kind of your unique POV into that world. And then, just sort of some bullet points too, in terms of like your creative approach to telling this story. Like, how are you going to approach it visually or audio wise? Like, you don't necessarily have to have everything spelled out. Like, a lot of times you've only kind of got the initial things kind of worked out in your head, but just those basics. Like, is this a documentary that includes animation or reenactments, or is it really kind of following the action, very raw documentary style? Are there lots of graphics involved? Are you using archival footage? So just some of those basics. And then also anything that you're able to provide to us about who's doing what. Again, you might not have all the answers, but first and foremost, we want to know what your role is going to be. Are you kind of producer director, or just director? And you'll probably hire, try to find a producer to work with you. Anything that you can shed light on there would be helpful to us. Anything else there, Jacquie, that you'd like to see?
I would echo kind of simple, clear, any information that can kind of give us a rough idea of why this piece, why you're so passionate about your pitch, and why the audience, and why we should be. Like, I want to read it and get excited, or at least be curious. So if you could capture that in your one page, that would be great. And then I guess the only other thing, Lesley pretty much captured everything. The only other thing I might add is think about if you could have a sense of how it might end, or where that journey, kind of where you'll take us, and I guess for Lesley, how the audience will be left feeling, maybe, and for Creator Network, what we might learn, or what kind of conversations might come from having seen your pitch. But I think Lesley covered it all.
Yeah, no, those are great tips. I'll also just add one from my end as someone who's also read a bunch of pitches. I think for someone on the outside reading it, if it's hard to envision what it might look like visually, or like where it's gonna go, this is me personally, I feel like it's hard to get a sense of what your goals are. And so maybe even like sharing with a friend when you're like done writing your pitch, and seeing if they understand what you're trying to communicate with your pitch, I think is always nice. For any sort of artistic work, I think it's nice to share with your friends and see what they get out of it. But yeah, because our ideas are so precious, and it's hard to put them out there. So yeah,
and I think you can also be so inside your head, and you know all the answers, especially when you work and rework an idea, that you might be missing something really obvious.
Exactly.
So it is good to have some friends or family take a look first.
Totally. Yeah, and I guess my final question, as we are it's almost been 30 minutes, so fast. My final question is, what does a development deal with CBC look like? I know this is depending on what the project is, so this is, not concrete information maybe you're able to give at this point, but to give some sort of insight to someone who like has no idea what a development deal might entail for them, and what it means if they what that'll mean for them if they get it.
I think basically it's us giving you some money to do some more work on the idea, to kind of flesh it out a little bit more. And yeah, like every development deal is a little bit different depending on kind of what stage your pitch is at. Some are going to be more fleshed out ideas than others, but it gives use some money to spend some time maybe digging into the research a little bit more, or finding your characters. Or we may say to you, we really feel like we'd like to see you shoot a little demo or something like that. So once we decide we're going to go ahead a development deal with you, we'll have a conversation and talk about kind of our shared goals for the development process. And then once we kind of decide on that, we'll put it in writing and decide like on some very specific deliverables. These are the things we would like from you. And I'll just, again, like kind of some typical ones might be a production budget, like if we chose to like take that next step and go into production, how much would it cost? An outline or a treatment or a list of characters, things like that. So, yeah, I think there's a few different forms it can take, but at its best, it's just you getting paid to do the work to flesh out your idea a little bit more.
Yeah. And it's also to continue the relationship and to continue the conversation. There's a lot of back and forth and feedback. I mean, that can continue regardless of whether or not you have a development deal. But this one is in writing and kind of, we're involved. And yeah, it's fleshing it out and seeing it through. In terms of your pitch, it's like a one page. It's like the hook to get us. And then this is kind of us, you working on it, but we'd kind of be there with you down that journey road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's helpful. Also, Lesley, you mentioned budgets. I've actually gotten this question in the past when we've had applicants for this competition. We don't ask for a budget in the application process, but how much should applicants be thinking about their budget? Should they make any mention of it, or should they kind of be pitching without thinking about budget? Like how open is that at this point in the pitch process?
I think we're pretty open at this point. I think that more than anything, we really want people to be focusing on the idea at this point, and we can talk about that at the next step. I mean, if you're thinking about it, sure, it doesn't hurt for us to have that information.
Mm-hmm.
But more than anything, be thinking about putting your focus on really honing your idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the sky's the limit for now.
Yeah, sure.
For now.
Sky is the limit, keeping in mind that this is digital content. And yeah, the sky probably won't be millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So we're almost at 5 o'clock. So I think we'll end off here. But did you guys have anything else you wanted to add, tips or anything else we might have forgotten to talk about?
I would just say for any of you that are going to apply, just like, I think it's always a conversation. Like we're just excited to get to meet new content creators. We're really motivated to be working with new people, new voices. So, don't stress about it. Yes, it's a competition, but it's also meant to be fun. And like the more of these things you do, it's just great practice, right? Like you're only going to get better at pitching the more you do it. So I just say go for it.
Yeah, and I would say the same. Just bring your passion, because those are the best pitches. And if you're really engaged and anyone you share, if you just get people excited, I'll want to learn more. And even if, hey, you might win, even if you don't win, that doesn't mean we won't continue the conversation with you. And exactly. My motivation is I want to meet you all to get a sense of what's happening out in the world. And maybe we can continue to work together at Creator Network, or the CBC is a large organization. It's not just the two of us here. So we might be able to connect you with other folks in the building. So I'm just really excited to get the party started, for lack of a better term.
Amazing. Yeah, and so for applicants, just for your information, once the applications close October 23rd, we're hoping by the beginning of November we'll have our finalists shortlisted, and you will hear back from us. And And then there will be about 2 training sessions that are involved or that you would have to attend leading up to the pitch competition. So there is some training aspect involved. So don't worry if you don't know how to do a verbal pitch. Like this is a learning process as well. And yeah, and then we'll have some amazing CBC folks also on our jury during the competition. And yeah, again, you can win a development deal and $1,000 from RBC to put towards your production, which is super exciting. And you might have seen it flash on the bottom of the screen earlier, but if you you can find our all our information. Yep, there it is again. All the information, a lot of the information that we discussed already before, eligibility and criteria and all that stuff at rpff.ca/EDP. You can also find my email address on that page if you have any questions. And if there's any questions for Lesley or Jacquie, I can pass them on as well. Yeah. So thank you both so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking. Yeah.
Thanks for having us. That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're excited.
Me too. Okay. Bye.